We've turned the sports page and hit the website refresh button on the 2024 calendar, which can only mean one thing: it's time to look ahead to what awaits in 2025. That can't be easy, though, can it? Not when most of our major sports programs came so close to something special. 5 beat writers from the Arizona Republic offer 5 storylines each in their areas of expertise as part of our 25 for 2025 presentation. Their work will appear over the next several days. Many Arizona sports fans are still daydreaming about what could have been with Coach Kenny Dillingham's surprising Arizona State football team, whose season ended in a double overtime Peach Bowl loss to Texas in the college football playoff quarterfinals. The regrets, what-ifs, and stomach-turning ending to the Arizona Cardinals' once promising season is even fresher to the psyche after the Valley's NFL franchise lost 5 of its final 7 games to miss the playoffs. It was especially painful given an impressive 6-4 start and first-place showing in the NFC West entering the bye week in mid-November. And let's not forget the unexpected, crushing end to the Arizona Diamondbacks season in which the reigning National League champions dropped 5 of their final 7 games and were forced to wait for the outcome of a doubleheader regular season finale between the Mets and Braves. If one of those teams would have swept it, Arizona would have been back in the playoffs as an NL wildcard team. But the Mets and Braves split, and the Diamondbacks lost out on tiebreakers just a year after making a valiant run to their second appearance in the World Series. Things haven't gone so smoothly on the hard court, either. The Phoenix Mercury, a team that has won 3 WNBA titles and advanced to the Western Conference Finals 9 times, lost to the Minnesota Lynx in the first round of the playoffs, and their longtime superstar, Diana Taurasi, the league's all-time leading scorer, is contemplating retirement. The 2024-25 Phoenix Suns, meanwhile, have struggled mightily under first-year coach Mike Budenholzer in what he and team owner Matt Ishbia had expected to be a championship-type season, and things have been so disjointed it will take a mad finish to make it into the postseason. If all of that weren't gut-wrenching enough for Arizona sports fans to digest, we also lost our NHL franchise, the Arizona Coyotes, to Salt Lake City of all places. They are now masquerading and doing rather well as the Utah Hockey Club. Bully for them. Crappy for us. Pour me another shot. And make it a double. Honestly, can there be a better time to look at what the new year may bring to our professional teams and the ASU football program? Since you're all probably in need of a special hangover cure that doesn't involve something weird from your crazy uncle or misguided mother-in-law, we have your back. The highly anticipated Unrivaled Basketball League is set to tip off on Friday night, with co-founders Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart facing off in the inaugural game between the Lunar Owls Basketball Club and Miss Basketball Club. The league, backed by $35 million in investments from some of the biggest names in sports, is poised to shake up the WNBA off-season. Caitlin Clark recently turned up to support Chiefs at the Arrowhead Stadium during the game against Texans in NFL Divisional Round. Clark has been a Chiefs fan along with Swiftie. Unlike the traditional route of playing overseas during the off-season, Unrivaled offers WNBA stars the chance to stay in the U.S., hone their skills, and earn lucrative contracts. The 3-on-3 league has already attracted major women's basketball icons, including Sabrina Ionescu, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, who will all be competing in the inaugural season. Angel Reese and Arika Gumbawale will also headline the second matchup on opening night. Despite the star-studded lineup, one major name is missing: Caitlin Clark. The 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year reportedly turned down an offer of $1 million plus equity in the league. Clark opted not to play organized basketball during her first professional off-season, focusing instead on other personal interests. While Clark won't be part of Unrivaled in its first season, her absence is felt. In her debut season with the Indiana Fever, Clark's games averaged 1.19 million viewers, compared to just 394,000 for games without her. Her presence would undoubtedly have been a huge boost for the Startup League. Unrivaled Commissioner Mickey Lawler expressed that the league is open to Clark joining in the future. "The door is always open," Lawler said, suggesting that Clark could potentially join the league in 2026 or beyond. Although the league starts without the 2 biggest stars in women's basketball, Clark and 2024 MVP A'ja Wilson, Unrivaled has established a solid foundation for success. With massive investments, a roster of iconic players, and a media rights deal with TNT Sports, the league is off to a promising start in its inaugural season. Chicago Sky star Angel Reese is facing a wave of frustration as her off-court ventures hit a snag. Known for her dominance on the court and strong social media presence, Reese recently voiced concerns about losing 5.2 million followers on TikTok due to a platform shutdown, which has reportedly impacted her financial opportunities. However, her angst seems to be compounded by witnessing Indiana Fever rival Caitlin Clark's effortless rise to the spotlight, driven purely by her basketball talent. Clark, who has consistently wowed fans with her on-court prowess, has found herself at the intersection of sports and celebrity. Earlier this year, she joined Travis Kelce on his podcast, a nod to her undeniable skill in the game. Then on Saturday, Clark was spotted in Travis Kelce's suite alongside Taylor Swift at the Kansas City Chiefs game in the NFL playoffs against the Houston Texans, a connection born from her genuine passion for football, not orchestrated networking. While Reese has successfully leveraged fashion and branding to expand her profile, Clark's path to mainstream visibility has been more organic. Her ability to captivate audiences without relying on curated strategy seems to highlight the simplicity of letting one's game speak for itself, a contrast that doesn't go unnoticed by Reese, who recently hinted at her growing frustration on social media. The image of Clark seamlessly bonding with Swift, a global icon, at Arrowhead Stadium is a bitter pill for Reese. It's a reminder that the court remains Clark's primary stage, and that success outside of basketball can come naturally when the love for the game shines through. As Reese contemplates her next steps, she may find herself reevaluating how to balance her basketball prowess with her off-court pursuits. Unrivaled will feature some of the biggest stars in the WNBA playing with some they would not have imagined, including Angel Reese linking up with Lexie. What makes that pairing interesting is that Hull is one of Caitlin Clark's teammates and close friends on the Indiana Fever. Hull made her name as one of the best sixth women in the league, building an unmistakable rapport with Clark as the two helped lead Indiana back to the playoffs after almost a decade. Meanwhile, Reese has seemingly recovered from her wrist injury, which ended her historic rookie season earlier than she expected. With Reese now set to play with Hull, it is worth examining three players set to make a splash in the new 3x3 league. Hull has the unique distinction of playing alongside Reese and Clark, though it will be at two different points of her career. However, it appears the two are building chemistry off the court, with the Sky star hyping up the Fever marksman on social media, courtesy of the Rose BC Instagram account. Underneath a video that showcased Hull's shooting ability, Reese commented, "Go big Lexie." The 25-year-old is one of the deadliest three-point shooters in the WNBA, converting on 47.1% of her attempts last season, which was second only behind Emily Engstler, and it stands to reason how her inside-out game with Reese develops. Another name to keep an eye on is Sabrina Ionescu, and particularly how she plays just months removed from her thumb injury on her shooting hand. The 2024 season was a glorious one for Ionescu and the New York Liberty, which culminated in a championship over the Minnesota Lynx in the 2024 WNBA Finals. However, Ionescu was hampered by a high-grade ulnar collateral ligament tear in the final two games of that series, seemingly contributing to her shooting 6 of 34 from the field and 1 of 15 from beyond the arc in games 4 and 5 combined. As the final player announced to Unrivaled, it remains to be seen if she has fully recovered from her serious thumb injury. With Ionescu's injury and her return, Sato Sabally, the oft-injured star, should garner attention, especially with how she is a game-changer when she is on the court. Granted, Unrivaled will be playing on a smaller court than WNBA regulation, the 6'4" star's talent abilities should translate. That said, how much of her talent transfers over is a question mark, especially as she, in essence, is using Unrivaled as a way to showcase her skills for the upcoming season. Recently, Sabally admitted her time with the Dallas Wings was over and that she and the team are looking for a reasonable resolution to their partnership. Of note, Sabally will be playing on the same team as Ionescu, which could be her teammate in the future. On January 16, it was announced that the Indiana Fever extended a core qualifying offer to star guard Kelsey Mitchell. The implications behind this offer, which is a one-year, veteran supermax deal, is that Mitchell is now unable to negotiate a free agency contract with any other team than the Fever. Her options at this point are to remain with the Fever for the next season or work with them to secure a sign-and-trade deal with another team if she wants out of Indiana. Given that indications are Mitchell has enjoyed her time in Indiana and is open to resigning with the franchise, it seems likely she'll be playing alongside star guard Caitlin Clark in 2025. And during her January 9th episode of the IHSA, Indiana High School Athletic Association, Insider Podcast, Fever head coach Stephanie White had kind words for Mitchell. When you think about Caitlin Clark and a generational talent, and the sometimes overlooked Kelsey Mitchell, who has been one of the hardest workers that I've ever seen from the time I was covering her at Big Ten Network and watching her at Ohio State, you think about the pieces that we have, and putting that all together, White said. She later added, "This team that we have, who is incredibly gifted on the offensive end of the floor. Trying to think about all these things that I think we can do is really exciting to me. The first step for the Fever is ensuring Mitchell resigns. If they can manage that, they've got to like their chances for success in 2025. White was featured on a January 9th episode of the IHSA, Indiana High School Athletic Association, Insider. And at one point in the episode, she got honest about what slowing Clark down might require. "We had a lot more defensive weapons at our disposal," White stated in reference to the Sun. "I don't know how any college team can prepare for a Caitlin Clark, because you can't do it with one person," White then added when speaking to Kelly Komara, who is the associate head coach of the Purdue women's basketball team. "And you can't do it one-on-one, right? Like, it is a whole five-man team effort," White continued. Komara then got into a hilarious story about her failed attempts to contain Clark when her Purdue team were facing the Iowa Hawkeyes during Clark's college career.